Would you believe me if I told you that I was streaming for a few minutes and what I had seen was Sean comment a couple of times, and I was like, okay, so Sean's hearing me, and I was interacting with the chat, and but it was only Sean for a couple of minutes, and I'm like, interesting. And then I checked and saw that people were waiting, but the stream wasn't live. So there's there's like a private Q&A with Sean there that I don't know what happened to it. It was streaming to no one. But because of the chat, I thought that it was live and functional. And there's 15 minutes of stream that are just lost to the OBS gods. And the same thing happened Friday. Not the same thing. I messed up. I did a no with Paramount footage, and well, no Friday the 13th content. But I learned that one relatively quickly. Good evening. Apologies for the weekend live intro. Apologies for the snowtop filled introduction. I really need a summer weekend live video, or perhaps I'm not streaming on a weekend intro, because God knows I have thousands of intros. I don't know why I'm still using weekend live stuff from the winter, but it seems like we're live now. Ryan, what's up? Ages of Film, what's up, man? I smashed the like button for you. I hope you're doing well. And you as well. And thank you. And you all should do the same, too. Follow Ages of Film, the lead on smashing the like button. Break your like button if you must. Dice, purple monster screaming and waving. Pink monster? Fuchsia? Joey, hello everyone. Hope you're having a great night. And you wonder why so few women watch that intro. There's a 97% male audience on this channel. So if we can get 10% of the viewers to be female, I'll consider doing something with the intro. But as of right now, there's like 5 women that watch this channel, and my wife is one of them. Raiders, why don't you ever bust those moves out like in your intro? I have way too much clothes on for those. I was bashing the Warriors, so nothing important. Yeah, but I was interacting with it, which is... I gotta get that pride. Sorry, I'm repping the unidentified 1%. Yeah, I could tell. What I'm like, oh, that's Dice. This is my first time casting your live, so I'm glad to be here and supporting you. Cheers, appreciate it. James. I'm trying to think what time. I'm normally live around this time, maybe only on weekends, but there's that. So thank you to everyone who's been here. You know what it is? I think because I streamed from the PS5, that that OBS had interfered with all this for a silly little Balatro game that I'm not completely understanding. Anywho, this is what happens when you're out of practice and you don't use things like StreamYard and OBS. If one little thing falls out of whack, it becomes a problem, and I don't have the mental capacity to keep up with things like OBS and make sure every little piece of the facade is together. So what I was saying prior to no one hearing me was I was giving you the update on movies I've watched in the last couple of weeks, because I don't think I've had like a genuine stream. I had the Balatro stream, which was relatively short, and the Friday the 13th stream, which is buried. So Dead Girl content, who would like that video, performing just like a Who Would Like That video. I think it just hit 100 views last night. It's weird. I don't know if it's a strong Who Would Like That video or just a modern Who Would Like That video, because the WWLT stuff, it doesn't storm out of the gate it's like there's stuff like I still get like dozens of Baise Moi views every day. So the Who Would Like That stuff, it lives a life. But some of the most recent stuff kind of teeters out. It dies at a couple of hundred views. I think the popular disturbing movies, they get attention. The Solos, the Irreversibles, the Serbian films, again, Baise Moi, depending on how infamous they are and if it seems like if the video is age restricted, people need to find it. And as of right now, the Dead Girl video is not age restricted. Kind of frustrating because I was kind of content with the editing job I did there for a couple of handful of people to see it. But it's hard to say whether or not it is a bedeviled level failure right now because those movies don't jump out the gate. They simmer a little bit. So I'll get back to you in a couple of months on whether or not the Who Would Like That series is in danger. But if we're going on the opening couple of days, might have to just go back to doing Dexter content. But yeah, Dead Girl, watched that. Emily helped, and the video is up for you to watch. Also watched Echo Valley, which is a Apple Plus video starring Julianne Moore and Sydney Sweeney, which also features Domhnall Gleeson. It reminds me of like 90s thrillers, stuff like Malice, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, even though I think they're remaking Hand That Rocks the Cradle right now. Not quite like sexy driven thrillers like Basic Instinct or Sliver, things like that. You know, Hand That Rocks the Cradle, single white female, like these mid-tier budgeted thrillers that were great for blockbuster rental nights. Kind of dating myself here. But for something like Apple Plus, which is a streaming platform that, you know, they're not really dependent on theatrical releases, Echo Valley is kind of perfect for that. Like if we're not going to have video stores anymore, and video stores now is, you know, Amazon Prime and Apple Plus and things like that, Netflix. Echo Valley is kind of perfect for that. Problem is, it's just kind of okay. I would much sooner suggest something like some of those movies from the 90s that I suggested. Like even like the junk food trash from the 90s, like Alicia Silverstone and Carrie Elways in The Crush. I broke the VHS on that. I watched that so many times. Not a good movie, but it was just like comfort food. I watched that movie so often. But Echo Valley, filled with fantastic stars. It's just, you know, it's like Chinese food. It's okay when you're eating it, but within a couple of hours, you're ready for something else. Yeah, I'll get to that, Sean. Thank you. I'll answer that. So I'll go through the stuff I've recently watched, and then we'll kind of transition into the Autopstream stuff. So Echo Valley, 3 stars for me. If you miss it, not that big a deal. If you watch it, also not that big a deal. It's something that if I were a CEO at Apple Plus, it kind of warrants the existence where like you can't watch this in cinemas, but also you're not missing much. It could be far worse. It's kind of troubling to see Apple Plus, like they had that Guy Ritchie movie that came out recently that was good, not great, but good. I think in a different director's hands, that movie is very stale. But so far, these like straight to streaming films, there's nothing that's like oh my God, you need to see this. And Echo Valley, unfortunately, is more of the same. Kind of smitten for that Sydney Sweeney, though. Even as a drug-riddled addict in Echo Valley. Hurry Up Tomorrow, the weekend film. Hurry Up Tomorrow is a perfect title for that film because within 5 minutes of watching it, you say to yourself, hurry up, when's tomorrow? It is, I don't know if it's considered like a concert film or there's this narrative twist thing. It's self-indulgent like a mother. Not the greatest of fans of The Weeknd. And so far, the two things that I've seen him in, the HBO series and this, you have one more strike and then you're out, buddy. It's a no from me, dog. And yikes. Who has dirt on Jenna Ortega that she took part in that movie is my question. It's a bottom 5 contender for 2025 for me. I also saw The Accountant 2, which I really liked the first Accountant. Didn't expect such a comedic twist on things. I enjoyed Ben Affleck's acting. I really enjoyed Jared Barenthal's acting. The two of them together, I enjoyed it, but I wasn't ready for The Accountant 2 to be so lighthearted, comedic. I don't know. Then there's the element of the Charles Xavier School for those who are neurologically developed. It borders on camp at times with the computer tech and things that people are doing back in the neurodivergent X school. It's fine. I didn't expect it to be as humorous as it was. I really enjoyed the first one. I still prefer the first Accountant. It seemed a bit more methodical in the filmmaking. But I had a good time with, very charismatic characters, and Ben Affleck playing something of a reserved neurodivergent person is one thing. If anything, it's scaled back in this movie, which is kind of weird. I don't know. I was expecting more of the first one, and the second one is different. Maybe on a second watch, I'll feel differently of it. But The Accountant 2, I gave it 3 out of 5. So, also watch Popeye the Slayer Man. So I've now seen 2 Popeye movies that were released in 2025. And between the two of them, 1 star out of 10. That's 2 half stars out of 5, in case you're doing the math. I don't know. Like, I get why people make these movies because, they're out there in the open now, and copyrights be damned and all that shit. But like, there's no effort, and it's really kind of frustrating. These Popeye movies are kind of the problem that I point to when talking about the horror community are a bunch of pushovers. Not all horror fans, mind you, but there are times where, like, horror fans are gluttons, just for anything, just something new. Just give me something, anything. Where, my thing is, expect some quality from things. Don't just take every single thing they're giving to you. It's almost like this one-sided relationship that certain horror fans have, where, like, if I don't watch everything, if I don't say I like everything, they'll stop making this stuff. And it's just not true. And it's not like someone like me is hating on people who make these movies, but like, yeah, that's great. You finished a movie which is an achievement in its own, but like, if you're not spending any money and you're cutting corners to get people's attention based on the thing that you're exploiting for the name, can't you at least try to make it entertaining? Like, you're doing every single shortcut just to get eyes on it, where I feel like a proficient filmmaker would use that attention to try to show off how talented they are. And like, this is what my problem is. It's like, you can't tell that this is a grift. Like, if it were like someone who was like, oh man, I really love Popeye, and I always thought of him as something of a villain character, and what if, and here's this thing I've been working on for 15 years. But no, that's not the case. There's two nearly identical things where, oh, interesting that the calendar worked out the way it did, we have two Popeye films with this horror twist on it that are being released within months of each other, and neither is worth a squirt of piss. Like, there's good horror out there to constantly flock to every single thing because it's horror. Like, it's an abusive relationship, guys. You don't have to take all of it, and you don't have to pretend like you like all of it. Like, ugh. Felix, $4.99 super chat. Thank you. Here's a donation for having watched the films. I've watched them also. Best I can say about them is they ended. Yeah. And like, if you enjoy them, I'm not like saying anything about like that. Like, that's great. Like you can have my copy, more for you. But can we not pretend that like these are quality movies that have this artistic vision? Like I said earlier, someone who's like, oh man, I watched Popeye as a kid, and I was always so puzzled at why people thought he was a good guy and this, that, and the other. Like I don't think you can, like, part of the grift is I don't think you can have the Brutus character. So like, if you're making a Popeye movie, if you want to go hardcore, you make something like Irreversible, where Brutus and Olive Oil, Brutus something of a bully, and Popeye saves her, and you make it a struggle revenge movie where Popeye goes and gets revenge on Brutus. But you can't do that because Brutus isn't a part of the public access, the stupid copyright, whatever what is the term I'm looking for? Not sure if I retracted the donation. Those Popeye films are bad. Yes, they're bad. Yes. Dice says, these horror fans will watch anything, says the man who willingly watched 2 Popeye horror films. One of them I was paid for. So there's no excuse for Popeye the Slayer, man. You got me there. I guess maybe I was like, you know what? Maybe I watched the wrong one. Nope. Public domain. Thank you, Dice. You've been watching garbage lately. Your review for Left in the Darkness. Oh, Left in the Darkness. So on the Dead Girl stream, the premiere, Patrick suggested Left in Darkness. 2006 film starring Monica Keena of Freddy vs. Jason fame and no other fame. Here, I'll read you the synopsis. Couple of Friday the 13th alumni in this movie too. Somewhere between heaven and hell, the ultimate evil waits to feed. Celia has had a rough life with a mother who died in childbirth and a father who disappeared. That's not a sentence. Unfortunately for Celia, death is not any easier than life. When she's drugged and Struggle snuggled at a frat party. Celia dies from an overdose and must battle the terrible soul eaters who roam the afterlife. That synopsis is not the movie I watched. I I don't know. It was a made for TV looking movie with Monica Keena from Freddy vs. Jason and Travis Van Winkle from um, Friday the 13th, 2009, the infamous stupendous nipple placement guy. That movie. Oh, if I had any sort of encouraging numbers off of the Dead Girl video, I would consider doing another Who Would Like That video for Left in Darkness, but I might have been the one of 7 people who have watched that movie. And it's not really that the struggle snuggle aspect, they don't really show it to you. So so you're in the clear if you wanted to watch that movie. What else? Popeyes Until Dawn. Watched that. I'm convinced that I have never played the game because I watched that movie and thought, I don't remember any of this. Emily dropped in and watched like the last 2/3 and left before the ending. Emily's not a fan. I wish I had the willpower that she did, because this is more of the same. Like, if you watched Until Dawn and were like, yes, horror is thriving. I don't know. I'd much rather watch. What's that video game movie from the mid 2000s where Stay Alive? For some reason, I had like Stay Alive vibes. They're not really the same at all. The movies, the Until Dawn is way too pretty looking for a horror movie. Well lit. At times, the effects are a little too bright, but it just doesn't make sense, and nothing really matters. Like, people just die over and over again. It's, I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it if it was like Edge of Tomorrow meets something else, but like, it was at the point where I'm like, I don't know if there's stakes or I don't care, but it could be both. Until Dawn is yuck. Just yuck. I have not seen Bring Her Back. Until my uncle gets it. I will not be doing that. And rounding out the movies that I've watched in June. So Mountainhead, which is a HBO Max, like made for HBO Max movie about a bunch of rich people who are a little too rich and don't care about society, and like they act kind of cartoonish about things. It feels like they were trying to do something along the lines of The Big Short, and no, I don't know if I say that just because it's Steve Carell in the movie, but it's been a very bad June. There are 2 movies that I would give 3 stars to. The Accountant 2 and Echo Valley. And neither of those movies are things that I will probably be talking about in July. Everything else, there's like 3 movies that are probably going to be in the bottom 5 for 2025 for me. Dice, what is that link you've sent? Oh, is that Bring Her Back already? Should I click on it? I don't want to click on it. Oh, okay. All right, so click on it. Copy. This is good for live content. Just trying to click on a link. So Dice has sent me a link to Dr. Caligari, 1989. Ooh, the ratings are pretty high. It's an average of a 3.6, which is very high. The Mad Doctor is in. Mrs. Van Houten has shown signs of losing touch with reality, and her husband discusses possible treatment with Dr. Caligari, who says Mrs. Van Houten has a disease of the libido. I can relate. Okay, so let me just backtrack. I saw color before Felix. Sean. Lucifer, are you still here? What? Without telling me the score, how are things right now for? And what are you doing watching me while Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Finals is happening? You're on Lomax time now, right? Yes, which is 6 hours ahead of CST in America. Yeah, it is almost 3 a.m. Will you be able to tell us what the next 31 and 31 will be, or do we have to wait till the debrief? I gave you my hint. Eagle-eyed viewers would know that I gave you a hint at the end of my video. That's all I'm telling you. It's just another way for me to fish another view on my content. Yeah. Don't forget to slash the like button and sub to this awesome channel. Appreciated it, Eli. $1 Million Man, that's a throwback. Should have done the Usual Suspects instead of the Warriors. Game 6 is tomorrow? Oh, shit. I need to remind you that I'm staring at my calendar says Tuesday. Well then it makes sense why you're here watching me. And of course you did. Oh yeah, right. How did Once Upon a Time in America end up on the list? You must have known its runtime going into it. Well, so Sean asks how Once Upon a Time in America got on the list, and perhaps makes a joke about the fact that the runtime is very long, which it is. If there ever were a list where long runtimes were going to be okay, can I switch myself to? Yeah, okay. Over here now. Considering there was so many close to, if not over 3-hour movies on this list, I think when the debrief happens, you'll hear everyone say, for as long as these movies are, the list isn't that hard to get through. Because a lot of these, at least half of these, most of us have seen, if not a couple of times. Like The Godfathers combined, they're what, like 10 hours? For me, it's not that. You know, I'd rather watch 3 Godfathers than 7 Nightmare on Elm Streets, for whatever that's worth. You know, I'll say I'd much rather watch Nightmare on Elm Street 1, 3, 2. Towards the end there, it gets a little laborious. But if it's comfort food, if the experience is all right, you don't really hate it. Especially considering this is why someone like me would much rather have the list in stone as early as possible. This way, you know, I know Brian was doing it all year. Like he would watch something and then do a review for it, which is smart. I don't know why I don't do that. You know, you watch it and just get it logged, and you know, it feels less like work. This list, for as not great as I have New Jack City against everything else, if New Jack City is the worst movie on that list, it was a great time. And it really was. There are movies here that, like, I think at least one person each in the group had at least one movie that they were, like, never got around to, but for the sake of this list, finally had a reason to watch. Like, I think Cody, for the first time, watched Godfather 3. Me, for the first time, LA Confidential. I think Cody never watched Sicario 2 as well. Why is it? Stop showing my heart mark. What? There we go. Cody hadn't seen the Guy Ritchie trilogy there. I think he ended up seeing The Gentleman. I think Adam watched Copland for the first time. I think was Brian the person who never saw Donnie Brasco? There's each person has like one movie on this list that it was like, oh, the first time I seen it, which, you know, again, like me finally seeing LA Confidential, it's like, okay, got it crossed off the list, and got to do it in a form where, you know, it's not just me watching a movie for the sake of, you know, a Friday night or something. This list is probably the best of both worlds, especially to those, you know, higher end, you know, Cody, who's got like 50,000 views on that video. I think Adam's got a couple of thousand on it too. You know, if you're making money off this, it's a nice tax deduction or whatever, you know, whatever warrants the work that goes into it, where like you're having fun at your job. You know, for those of us who are, you know, doing hobbies with benefits, it also pays off well too, where I didn't have a hard time with this. This was a very easy list to get through. But Once Upon a Time in America, I think it was the one. I think I was the one, actually. I was the one who had not seen Once Upon a Time in America. I think I might have been the one who suggested it. Listen, you know, when the amount of Scorsese stuff was in this list, like you look at the top 10, those were pretty firm. I genuinely, the top 10 were hard enough for me as it is, where I was like, yeah, I don't care where the other 21 are, because this is really hard. And you know, No Country for Old Men at 17. Apparently I'm pretty low on Carlito's Way. Like, everyone had Godfather Part 3 in the same area. Yeah. And I'm surprised I wasn't the only person who had Town above Heat, so whatever that's worth. As much as there are moments in this collection where I've disagreed with Cody, he's right about Town being higher than Heat. Adrian says, this is my first time watching The Town, and I liked it a lot. Yes, for good reason. The Gentleman is a movie to watch at least once a month. LA Confidential, you and Rudy will be feeling some Lomax wrath here. Well, there's always got to be one, right? I never got the love for LA Confidential. Thank you. Considering where Brian put it too, I was just, I'm kind of glad I didn't know where he was going to put it, because if I watched that thinking this is number one energy, I would have really had a hard time with that, because the tone of it is all wacky. It's a 30-year-old movie that takes place 30 years before the movie that it actually was filmed in, and it's just kind of like this like 50s like noir, like hokey. I didn't prepare myself for that, and yeah, I don't know. Maybe on a second watch, Warriors was the worst by a mile. All right, take it easy. Clearly, I don't agree with you, because Warriors is ahead of Bronx Tale, Godfather 3, Sicario 2, and New Jack City. New Jack City. With all due respect, New Jack City doesn't match up to these movies. Sports 31 next. You have pretty much done everything else. I want to see Brian watch the Mighty Ducks. Brian won't watch the Mighty Ducks. You're not getting Brian to watch 31 sports movies. City of God or Prophet should have been on the list, but Autopstream is anti-reading. I don't know what you're talking about, sir. I shoehorned a couple of French movies in the October one, and last May, 2 Mays ago, we had a couple of foreign language films. Everyone looked at me all cockeyed when we watched Thirst. That French werewolf movie that's not really a werewolf movie, Brotherhood of the Wolf. But we're breaking them in. If anything, what would have been interesting, there was a moment there where, like, we didn't know who was participating, and we were chiseling the list down. There was a moment there where the Infernal Affairs trilogy was brought up. I don't think it was ever a solid discussion where we were going to include all three of the Infernal Affairs. There was a heavy consideration for the first Infernal Affairs because of The Departed. But it's not like these, the reading films, it's not like they don't get discussed. They really do. Cody's going to get the Lomax Award for Godfather. It's not much different than the comedy list, is what I'll say. There's some interesting things happening. Hey, James. From penis to vagina. Cheers. Thanks for joining Movie Rental. Either way, you're getting the Lomax Award for having Once Upon a Time not in the bottom two. No, it's 23. Like, it's not like it's 6. You forget that most of the people who participated have the Warriors in the bottom third, and 2 confused human beings put the Warriors in their top 10. You got to think about the math of it all. War or Westerns could be next. I don't hate the idea. War could be, oh my God. The amount of antidepressants and Xanax I would need to take every other movie during that list. Like, does Come and See go on that list? Because watching that movie, just that one, that's enough for a couple of sessions of therapy. Come and See, Platoon, Saving Private Ryan. Oh, that's 1/10 of the list. Oh, I don't hate the idea. It's just the the ability to smile after that list is done is what I'm worried about. Westerns could be fun. British accents don't count as reading. No, I was talking about the French shit and the Korean shit. I'm on Team Brian with LA Confidential. That movie's a masterpiece still. If we're agreed, life would be pretty dull. Yes. And why don't you go tell Brian you're Team Brian? People come to my channel to tell me that they're all about someone else. No one goes to someone else's channel and says, I love SIPO. Man, WILIscredia is the best, isn't he? Everyone comes here to give me their other channel garbage. Brian, most popular video is breakdown of LA Confidential. Is that true? I didn't know that. Man, what the fuck's in my eye? But I don't hate the idea. You got to remember that there's 5 people in the group and 5 differing opinions. You'll have some overlap, but there are 5 particular tastes that come together. Anytime you see something that's a little risque or perhaps foreign language, that's me rearing my ugly head, or over-the-line comedy, which oddly enough wasn't last year's thing, but Brian tries to get, it seems like Brian tries to get any movie in his top 50 into the list. It doesn't matter how much it makes sense. Brian needs to talk about movies that he loves. Sean, it appears to be a bit more action. Action. I guess action. He's a bit more, go with the flow about things, even though he didn't participate this time. Cody, it's hard. It seems like whatever direction that the group is heading in, he kind of figures out where what makes sense to him. He was talking about something either last year or the year before. It was like, I'm doing this ranking video, so we should add this. And it's like, yeah, no, this isn't the accessory to Cody Leach's channel ranking. This is a group thing, man. What are you doing? But it makes sense because it's at the tip of people's tongues. And Rudy, still figuring him out, but it seems like he likes the. If you enjoy my intro video, Rudy probably suggests content like that a bit more. I get some hate for Once Upon a Time in America. The struggle snuggles are not needed. Right. And 2 of them. Depending on the cut you watch, you don't need 1, certainly not 2. Westerns could be good because Cody said he's never seen Tombstone. Oh, wait. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah. Rest in peace there, buddy. I'm your huckleberries over my shoulder here. Tombstone's a good time. I wouldn't want to hype it up for Cody, though. Like, just watch it. Just watch it. How about a disaster movie, 31? You would have to watch Titanic. Yeah. I don't, for as much as you talk about how much you're pro Brian, I don't think, like, do you understand his taste? Because I think Brian would have Titanic pretty high. It's a James Cameron movie. It's a well-made movie. I think it's quite good too. I think between Brian and I, it would be in the top half. Brian on Los Angeles movies, LA Confidential, perfect. Mulholland Drive, 2 star. Not a Goodfellas fan. There, I said it. I don't have a sound button for that. For just absolute. Oh wait. That is my reaction to that comment. Should have taken Warriors out and put Public Enemies in. Yeah. Yeah. Again, the top 10 were so strong. I didn't have the energy to fight that thing. I put my joke in. I appreciate Cody putting it in the list for for the sake of comedic effort, but I'm not dying on any hill. Again, New Jack City was 31 for me. So like if Warriors was 31 and it was like that reduced, I think people get hung up on the fact that for the sake of the respective participants list, narratively speaking, we'll call it gangster movies, we'll call it crime movies. Like, depending on who values what in their list. Again, there's 5 differing opinions, and each member kind of injects their perspective and their narrative of the ranking into their list. The title is Law and Disorder. It's not, gangster movies. We say gangster movies for shorthand, but if you're saying Warriors shouldn't be in there, The Town shouldn't be in there. Sicario shouldn't be in there. LA Confidential shouldn't be in there. History of Violence, like it really starts to get watered down. It's about crime. The two sides of crime. People that commit crime, whether it be organized crime or organized crime from a police perspective. Training Day, another movie that probably if you're calling this list gangsters, Training Day shouldn't be in it. Like the infinite struggle with Autopstream and these 31 and 31s is people see the list, they see a theme, they hear of franchises, and like, actually, like Psycho. I remember people saying, "But Psycho 4 is not a movie; that's a TV movie," and it's just like, yeah, you're right. We're not really. The rules are merely suggestions. They're soft boundaries. Franchises get tired, and the thematic suggestions are merely that. If you look at like a synopsis on IMDb or what genres they list, if you're doing a list of dramas, can there be humor in it if they're drama? Yeah, it's the joke that I was making last year with In Bruges, but it's a comedy. I think I made this joke in my video. Cable Guy is a dark comedy too. So as much as I was having fun, and a lot of people ran away with it, I don't know. Some people take the suggested themes so rigidly, and it still is about fun. For as much as this is like a paycheck to some guys in the group, it's still fun. Still factors in. Running out of drink. I'm Team P. I'm Team CP2. I don't send Brian donations. You should know me by now, Sean. I'm just Josh, and I appreciate it. Thank you. JDev, what's up? You fired up for hit me up on Discord. I'd like to sync up prior to Resurrection. What do we have? 3 weeks now before that goes live? The 11th, right? July 11th. I'd like to chat because I'm curious to see where your head's at, and we could probably fill a stream with all of that noise. What is your favorite cut of Apocalypse Now? Ooh, speaking of war. Shit. What is on the 4K? That's a good question. I don't have an immediate answer. I know I've seen two or three cuts. I think the one that's on the 4K or the special edition Blu-ray is what I prefer. It's a lot easier to watch this shit at home too. Seems like you were the only one who liked Casino as much as me, dude. I forgot who said it, but it might have been Cody, it might have been Brian, where their thought process was, yeah, it's like a lower tier Goodfellas, and I don't take that at all. Like, they're both based on true stories. Um, I think part of the reason that people are not exactly turned on by Robert De Niro in Casino versus Robert De Niro in Goodfellas, he's morally ambiguous, but he's not. They're all bad guys. In Goodfellas, he's kind of the bad guy, but in Casino, he's something of a bitch. His relationship with Sharon Stone is he's he's cucked to shit in Casino. But like if you liked like it as much as Casino isn't truly a sequel to Goodfellas, it is a natural progression of sequels. Like if you enjoyed just how over the edge Joe Pesci was in Goodfellas, sequel progression, he's that much worse in Casino. And if you look into the real life person he's based on, that guy was that bad. I think Casino has a hell of a lot more lines that I will quote than Goodfellas. Casino is junk food to me, and as someone who's been around gambling, poker rooms and social clubs and casinos and all that, it just hits harder. And I think in those environments, people prefer Casino than Goodfellas. Ooh, where could we squeeze Rounders into a list? That'd be fun. Shit, I think I wasted a Casino movie. We could have had a bunch of gambling movies in Cincinnati Kid, Rounders, Mississippi Grind. I don't know if I can convince the rest of the group to do a gambling list. A Bronx Tale was disrespected by everyone. Probably should have been on the list, though. It's not a crime movie. There's crimes committed in it. Stop it. I hate Forrest Gump. I think that's a bigger hot take than Goodfellas. Yeah, I don't know if it's that big a hot take. Technically, Boys in the Hood shouldn't be on here either. Then, all right, here we go. So we're gonna whittle this list down to 2 movies if we're gonna technically then. I think Adam Does Movies had Casino in his top 5. I think he had it higher than I did. I think he had it 2. I think. Redux for me. Is that there's 2 cuts on the 4K. I think Redux is on the like special edition Blu-ray. I have both the Blu-ray and the 4K, but I don't know without looking. The issue with Casino, Joe Pesci is similar to his character in Goodfellas. No, he's his character in Goodfellas with the volume turned up, whereas Robert De Niro's character is toned down to his character in Goodfellas. This is something that I feel like we might talk about. Like this might be a topic of discussion in the debrief, which is probably happening soon. I don't know if the date's been announced yet, but if you've been following the group, debriefs tend to they're not set in stone for a bunch of reasons. Everyone has different schedules, different time zones, but I have a funny feeling we're going to have the debrief very soon. And if we don't, it's going to be a while. Right on, J-Dev. Rounders, 21. That wouldn't be very high on my list, but yeah, just to fill out the group. Ooh, lucky you. We can do a pre-brief. Yeah, if you want a link, I'll send you a link. Redux is the longer version with the French family who lives in the jungle. I do remember that. Yeah, they're like in a mansion or some shit, right? That's my point. Nikki and Tommy DeVito are based on 2 different people. You can't tell me both were so similar. I liked Lucky You. Yeah, if you watch Lucky You and then Rounders, you can't tell me you don't notice there's a difference. Rounders is very real, where Lucky You is very pasteurized. I don't know what 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 word I want to use, but Lucky You is just so. I enjoy Drew Barrymore in romantic comedies and things like that, but holy shit, the original Mr. Eric Bana. I think he was miscast. I don't know. It's got a weird tone. Like when he's like golfing and gambling, they could have treated that differently. Where like he's something of a loose cannon, but it's still treated like with these I don't know, rom-com gloves where he's something of a sick human being where he's just like gambling everything every day. You could have played that a bit more darkly funny rather than like the guy who lost a bet but wears breast implants just to prove that like just you could have taken that a different direction. Like I think the tone misses the mark at points. But again, being in like poker rooms and gambling establishments, that movie's something of a joke for that environment. The Sting and Color of Money. Come on, like I'm already there. Like you don't have to convince me any further, but you're making this you're making it hard for me to like not like back off of it because we've got like 8 movies right now, right? The Sting, Color of Money, 2021 I won't fight too hard for. Rounders, Mississippi Grind. Do the Oceans movies count? See, this is where the technicallys start rearing their ugly head. Cincinnati Kid, Maverick. Oh, that would be fun. This if we were to do a gambling 31, it would be just as much fun for me as this. You guys can do Action 31 again because you didn't do movies like Expendables and Rush Hour last time. Yeah, that's something that Showman probably go to bat for. The Hangover. Is that gambling? Oh wait, he counts cards. Rain Man? Does Rain Man count? Card counting. Definitely think that Maverick should be on the Maverick. Excuse me. List. Maverick is about a gambler. Yeah. I was already kind of in favor of the idea. We've already kind of just spitballed 10 movies, around 10 movies without really thinking about it. I was just about to post about Rain Man. I mean, he counts cards, right? So that's got to count. Is there? Would they have a list? Would Letterboxd? Nope. There's a movie called Gambling and a 2020 movie called Rambling. Oh, Poker Face. All right, so here's 97 films. All very Asian. All right, so Maverick. I'm sure a handful of these are certainly worth watching, but we're not going to win anybody over with a bunch of Asian films. 21. Casino Royale. The Cincinnati Kid. Croupier. Bad Lieutenant. House of Games, I've heard of. Indesmoposal. Oh yeah, I guess there's the. I can only imagine how many of you would be pissed off if Indesmoposal was included on a gambling list. Even Money, I'm not familiar with. California Split, I've heard of. Lock, Stock, already did it. Oh, if Big Town's in there, then Swingers has got to be on there too, right? What are we at? We're at 7? Card Player. There's the Red Peony Gambler? Rounders. Shade. Not a very good movie, but worth filling out 31. Snake Eyes? Oh, High Roller, the Stu Unger story. Oh. The Gambler. They should have both of them. They do. The Poker House. I am not familiar with that. A lot of movies called The Gambler. The Gambler, the legend continues. The Gambler, the luck of the draw. The Gambler, playing for keeps. The Gambler, the girl and the gunslinger. Queen Hustler. Poker Night. That looks like a horror movie. Wait, I'm intrigued. How do you catch a killer when he's holding all the cards? When a new detective is caught by a vicious psychopath and locked in a basement, he must use the knowledge he learned from some of the best detectives at Poker Night, then match his wits against his captor. Oh. I'm in. Mississippi Grind, Hard 8. Let It Ride. Ooh, The Cooler. Molly's Game. What are we up to? Were we up to like 15 by now? Lucky you. There you go. I think I saw Deal. Not a very good movie. Yeah, so something of a top heavy list. Yeah. Rounders 2 needs to happen. Or am I scamming people on gambling sites? I think it sounds silly, but I'd watch it day 1. 31 terrible video game adaptations, all the Mortal Kombats and Resident Evil. No, I think I'm busy that week. Do you think F1 will be a bigger bomb than Snow White? Not a bigger bomb than Snow White, no. I don't think it's going to do well. Reading, no. The Cooler is a good one. It is. Uncut Gems. Yeah, it's sports betting. Like it's the technical aspect is there. There's technically gambling in it. Movies you like that the other 4 hate. Everyone gets 4 picks. Oh, that's brutal. So we're essentially watching 26 movies that we hate and 4 movies that we love. Oh. Gamble with Mark Wahlberg is solid. Did you see the original though? The Uncut Gems. Does gambling pool count? Yeah, well, someone said it earlier. The Tom Cruise speaking of Scorsese, what the fuck? Paul Newman, he's in 2 of them. The Hustler. The fuck? The fuck are the movies I'm thinking of? We need Rounders too. Dear God, is that Reba the Gambler? Could be. I don't remember. Have you ever seen The Marrying Man? If yes, do you think it's considered a gambling? I haven't seen it. Legacy classic movies. Did they ever forgive you for Titan and Raw, or are you still on the naughty stool? You see, if I suggested those movies and most people hated them, it'd be one thing. But I think the group knows that as much as I'm in the minority in the group, they're in the minority. It's tough to unremember things, but we could have had Revenge and last year's Horror Darling. What the fuck? The Substance. That was my first suggestion. So as much as they didn't have a good time, they had a chance. They had a chance to have a good time. Sometimes, as much as you don't like my second choice, sometimes you find out the hard way that my first opinion was right. I'm fine. Like, for as much as I joke with everyone, if they want to have fun with me, it's fine. That'd be really hypocritical, wouldn't it? Adam, how are you? That some of them hate and maybe others don't love gives them a chance at a second watch. Would interesting to see how it all averages out. Yeah, that's a very hazy list because there's 5 different opinions. Like Brian and I, for as much as we're so opposed on things at times, there are times where we're probably the closest. It's weird. It seems like Brian and I are like complete opposites or like within 2 of each other. So hot and cold with Brian and I, it's an interesting theory. In execution, it'd be a little puzzling. The Color of Money. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Remember Brian being in shock when you said Ben-Hur was overrated? I need to watch it again. Maybe I was talking about the remake. Doing all right. Being moved into my apartment for 2 weeks now. My fiance is also here with me, and I out of her toxic environment. That's good. Being out of toxic environments is always a plus. Wish you the best, man. Like, genuinely. I'm sure you find, I imagine Brian is still on the naughty list 5 years later over Critters. No. It comes in waves. Everyone takes their medicine every now and again. It seems like Rudy's doing his best to, like, be the redheaded stepchild of the group because his top 5, those were choices. Talking about me having Once Upon a Time at 23. Dude, have you seen Rudy's top 5? I don't know. I don't know what to prepare for. I don't know to prepare for Rudy or Brian. I mean, the thing about first of all, I need to be healthy. So I need to watch what I eat until the debrief because I don't want to be in a hospital for it. If there's anything that was missing from the last debrief, it was, well, literally me, but there was no spark. So I don't know if I'm going to fabricate a throwdown with Brian. Might I don't know. There's a bunch of stray bullets that might be going in different directions. It could be interesting. Pretty sure Brian short-circuited with the Ben-Hur comment. And thanks, we both appreciate it. Yeah. Both. Prepare for both. Did you announce a date for the debrief or not yet? I have not. I think the group has settled on a date But because the debriefs are so volatile, I don't know if it's going to be announced publicly until things are certain. But because of the volatility, what I'll say is if it doesn't happen soon, it's not going to happen for a while. Like, it should happen within a week, but if it doesn't, it's not happening in June. So there's that. But don't quote me on it because everyone's availability and things are constantly shifting. Like last year, it was my fault. We all have interesting schedules that line up and things that happen, and everyone but me has families, and things happen. So trust me, we all want this to happen, and we all have fun doing it. It's just syncing up, and there's a 7-hour time gap between us. So there is a list. There's a date in place, but due to previous histories, nothing is like firm just yet. And as much as I say, this group isn't Cody and friends, we're Autopstream the group, I refuse to say anything publicly. I'll let the boss handle that. If he wants to say the date, I'll let him do it. I'm not doing it. He did. I was during Texas Chainsaw Massacre Child's Play and Scream debrief. Wait, what? What? Did I have a stroke? I was during the TCM. I wasn't sure if it was announced earlier in the stream or not. No, keep an eye on Cody. I'm not. I'm aware of a agreed upon date. I am unaware if you guys should know that yet. If and when Cody wants to tell everyone, I know I'm ready for what we've said in private. If that changes, I'm also prepared for that. But just keep an eye out. Again, if it doesn't happen soon, it's not going to happen. It either happens within a week or it won't happen in June. So as cryptic as that is. And for someone who asked earlier if there's a hint about October, you should watch all of my video. All of my video from May. All of my video. I gave you a Marvel post-credit scene there. I want at some point to have Clint Eastwood in one of those 31s on 31s. Whether it's his Westerns or Dirty Harry movies, there's probably enough where you can just do a Clint Eastwood 31. Whether it be his direction, although he's in all the stuff that he directs. Yeah, the Dollars trilogy, the Dirty Harry, yeah, it's not that hard to get 31 Clint Eastwood things. It was said that there was never a debrief for the Fantasy 31. Brian, have New Hope at 27 would have been quite a debate if we had The Last Jedi quite high too. Yeah, those were at a really, really rough, low time for me personally. Yeah, late 21, all 2022 was a very difficult period for me. I don't know. Like the director's one, I was late to, and then the fantasy one, I don't even think I did. Very, very troubling period for me, but it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting if there was a debrief. Although I'm glad there isn't, because if we did it like at that time, I was not of the right mental capacity for any of that. Thanks for a reply. It's just I thought your point is very valid. Also, was that actually Brian in the commercial you played? Or is that just a gag because the voice was spot on? No, that is not Brian. It is a joke. I appreciate you asking, though, because there are a lot of gags and jokes that I do. I prefer doing gags and jokes rather than talking about the movies, because if you watch all of our videos and then the debrief, it gets redundant. So me, out of everyone, I'd rather have like gags and shit and like just give you a little taste of what my opinion is. And if I have something serious to say about it, I'll do so in the debrief, because I prefer going back and forth and bouncing off of people's opinions and ideas. But as far as jokes and shit are concerned, yeah, I'm more inclined to do humor. But there are a lot of people that take those jokes very seriously. Someone thought that I was genuinely mad at Brian for In Bruges, and that's not true. There are times where I get frustrated because we're all very close, and I know I play rough more than perhaps anyone else, but that doesn't mean I won't take it. There are people that view things like this and think that like a joke that Brian would make with me or I would make with Cody or vice versa or any of that, like they can do too. And that's not, this is like almost 10 years of a friendship talking where, it's great if you find it entertaining and funny, right on. But that's, that it's like when you watch someone roast a comedian or something, and you find it entertaining, you find it funny, but you wouldn't say those very same jokes with this person, would you? The stuff that seems a little cockeyed, if I say it, it's a joke. I promise you. I've had to say it a bit more recently, especially with people like Cody and Sean. Their audiences don't know who I am, and they're like, who the fuck's this no name talking about my favorite YouTuber? So it's troubling as a satirist that I need to remind people, but no, I'm glad that you thought that it did sound like Brian, but no, it was just a joke. It was a narrative decision to make a narrative joke about why Brian isn't joining us in October, because he's got this gig where he's doing voiceovers. He doesn't have this gig where he's doing voiceovers. It sounds a lot like him, but if you got to explain the jokes, it's not funny. But yeah, I appreciate people who enjoy the humor and just take it at that. And then there are people that try to get involved with it and don't understand the relationships behind some of the jokes, which it's a learning process. It's a learning process for everyone. But I'm a professional. Don't try this at home. Need another best movie or series? Dude, I've tried. I appreciate the interest. What's odd is, as much as I enjoyed putting those videos together, I could probably do better as far as the edit is concerned. I can't put that much time and expect other people to put as much time in for 1,000 views. Like I've had the idea to do a different year or two. It's like there's 1 year that I've kind of had at the top, and then another year after that. I would like to do it. It's not like I don't want to. It's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze at the moment, and it's hard to get other people to devote time and footage and things. Like I thought I was doing people a favor by, listen, just send me the footage, I'll edit it, whatever. But it's hard to have someone else, contribute content with, no one's going to get any attention off of it. So like I'm asking a bunch of people to do me a favor. And it's kind of a bummer. Never say never, but I appreciate. I really appreciate the interest. It's just every now and again, someone will discover one of those videos and say, "Hey, where are these? Why aren't you doing more of these?" And it's like, dude, you're the first person to comment in 15 months. Um, it, it I I enjoyed it. It's just it's a lot of work for not very much attention. At some point when I get settled, maybe I'll pivot from um, doing this as a hobby to really trying. But the last 4 years or so, it's this has just been a hobby with benefits, and never say never. But it was I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. It's just it's a shame that more couldn't be built off of it. I don't think Clint Eastwood was in Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. He was the director of that movie. If he was in the movie, I don't remember him in it. I don't think I've seen it. One of out of Sean Baker's movies he performed, Honora or the Florida Project. Florida Project is an excellent movie for me. I prefer Honora, but I prefer Tangerine over Honora. Any chance we get a debrief in the same room one day? Okay, never say never, but I think if that were to happen, it would probably be in England. Like there'd have to be some weird, maybe a convention or a film thing is in London or something, and Sean and Cody are out here, and then Rudy tags along, and then I think there's a better chance of it happening in England than in the U.S. Or maybe an alternate site. We all meet up in Australia or something. I think it's not incredibly likely, but you never know. Hot take: I saw Snow White. I like and preferred it to the original. I'm joking. Yeah, it's not that surprising. I think it's fine. It's just if you take away the internet outrage culture, it's not worth the steam. It's just vapid Disney remake shit. It's fine. It's just fine. Breaking your friends' balls is a part of being friends. Cody and Sean have a large fan base that grew up in a different dynamic. That's what I'm saying. Like there are people like Cody has 25 times my audience. So, there's a strong chance that like 3/4 of his audience have no idea who the fuck I am. And they hear me saying this thing like I'm starting beef, but they don't know the backstory that like we've been friends for close to 10 years now. Like it's happened a couple of times where we're like, it's been to the point where on Twitter, I just don't. Like I used to joke and I forget that people don't read in my tone. So I've learned the very hard way that not everyone reads your statements in your tone. So learning process. Good morning, that darn kidda. It's close to 7 a.m. for you? 8? Anyone with half a brain can tell you and Brian are friends. Friendly banter and arguments based on truth, but are carried out in entertainment is some of the best parts of what you guys do. I agree. And like, I have to say this 1,000 times over, but we're arguing about movies. If someone is right or wrong, in the end, what does it matter? Like, it's just like these decisions, these arguments, they don't really mean anything. We're not going to solve world hunger by figuring out whether or not Friday the 13th 1 or 5 is better. It's fun. It's entertaining. That's all it's supposed to be. And when the stream's over, everyone's fine. Like, I don't think people understand that we lean into it. Like, do you think Brian and I argue that much? There are times where, like, something happens, the energy in the room, like, you can tell when people are doing something a certain way, and, like, you could see the chat, like, the little popcorn emojis. It's like, oh, okay, here's the moment where we got to lean into it. It's pseudo fabricated quite a bit. That's fair. I definitely get it. I'm sure you can. 1994 is the year I would do next. You and Brian argue. It gets good. It gets views. It's good for business. Oh shit, Dad's here. I'm driving back from Atlanta now. It is your responsibility to entertain me for the next 4 hours. Oh, I don't have any of that. Do it in Dubai. Yeah. Debrief. Dubai debrief. Brian can get passionate for sure. I'm sure he doesn't take it that seriously. I mean, for the moment, it's serious, but it's again, it's not going to decide world hunger or people's lives shouldn't be at risk for these opinions. That's for certain. 1994, you say? Yes, a year that you would have even less life experience to talk about. Yeah, 94 was one. I think 82 was one. 04 was one. 94 is like at the top. If something happens again, 94 would probably be it. But 2004, was it 2007? 08 might have been one. I would love to get the Inception year in there. I was 3. What a banger. Christ. I think I was definitely in school by then. I was new. There are about 1 million things in the world more important than movies, so I wouldn't be taking it that seriously. It's all banter. I know you wouldn't, but there are times where like I joke and like I'll put the John Oliver cool emoji under something Cody says on Twitter, and people are like, "Why are you being a dick?" And I'm like, "Wait, what? A dick? He knows. My friends know that that's the most tiresome gif of me saying like a sarcastic, "Yay, good for you." But the problem with joking and doing things for an audience is they can ruin, like if two people are having like a thing, as much as it's entertaining to an audience, the people who don't get it can ruin the experience for the two people. And like that sucks. It sucks that it has to be that way, but like if it's a throwaway joke that two people are sharing and 70% of the people that experience it have a good time, all it takes is like 5 people to be like, "I am offended by this, how dare you?" And like it creates this energy that has to like it's not worth that. As much as 70 people would enjoy the joke and think it's a good time and are entertained by it, 5 people who are just like up in a tizzy about it, like it ruins the energy. It's just it sucks, but I don't know. If you have a good time, enjoy yourself. If you don't, keep it to yourself. I don't know. It's a learning process. It's just trying to figure out how to be funny and okay for everyone. And it's not like we don't still joke. Like there are times where it's just a DM thing now, and that's what it's reduced to. And there's not much risk there, where it's like, here, I'll say a thing, and you'll laugh at it, and that's it. Edgy joke, and that's all that matters. Or I'll say something where if it's misconstrued, at least there isn't 50 people like, what does that mean? If it's only one, you can be like, I'm sorry, I didn't type that in my tone. Far less can go wrong if it's just the joke between the two people that are meant to enjoy it. I trashed MCU yesterday with my buddy I've known for over 20 years. We're still friends. 2007 was a great year. Always look forward to when you guys do a debrief. This next one looks pretty fun. I agree. I agree. Oh yeah, the people that take that way too seriously. Yeah, yeah, and like it ruins it for the people that are like the important ones that are taking part in the joke. 2007, I believe There Will Be Blood and No Country for Old Men. Hey Cody, Sydney Sweeney, Vanessa Kirby, Margot Robbie, marry, screw, kill. Phew. Margot Robbie likes metal. I'll marry Margot Robbie. Sydney Sweeney, we're going to have the greatest 14 seconds of her life. And Vanessa Kirby, sorry, you got to go. There it is. If you don't touch grass but leave a like, yeah, leave a like. Leave a like, and if you didn't have a good time, still leave a like. Let other people know that you didn't have a good time by leaving a thumbs up. Those are just people with no life outside the internet that take it too seriously. I don't know I don't know if it's taking it too seriously or not having a life so much as not understanding the relationship of the words on a screen. Like I've said it earlier, and it's just something that I need to keep working on. As much as I'm typing it and saying it in my voice. When you put it up on the screen, it's just a sentence. There's no facial expression. There's no like tone to it. It's just this sentence that if you don't know who I am, you don't hear my voice when you read that thing. You don't think of my stupid smirk when you read the sentence. It's just, ew, that looks kind of rotten. And it's a process. Someday we'll have progressed to DMing with little videos, and then maybe we'll be in better shape. But until then, I've got to learn how to tone type. There Will Be Blood, 310 to Yuma. Ooh. No Country for Old Men. Assassination of Jesse James. I'm not that big in that movie. 2007 was a good year for Westerns. Perhaps the last good year for Westerns. 2008 deserved a closer look. Sure. Dark Knight alone. I don't have a life outside of the internet, but I know that they're joking. I love Margot. Yeah, that's why I'd marry her. I do as well. Yeah. Kill Kirby, marry Robbie, and yeah, I agree, Jada. Although, for financial reasons, maybe I marry Sydney Sweeney because she's making some executive decisions, and she's the it girl right now in Hollywood. You marry Sydney Sweeney, no prenup, and once things go sour, you take your half. 14 seconds, show off. We got a badass over here. Well, it's about 6 seconds to take the clothes off. And hopefully I'm ready already at those 6 seconds. And then I thought about marrying Sydney as well. Yeah, like, with all due, like, these games are silly because, of course, you would take any of them. Oh, maybe not. Maybe they're all crazy. And you learn the hard way, like, oh my God, you're a really good actor because this is nuts. 84 was a good year. Karate Kid, Nightmare on Elm Street, Gremlins, Ghostbusters, Temple of Doom. Yeah, nothing to sneeze at there. There's a bunch, like, there is a stretch, like, the older you get, the less choice you have as far as movies are concerned, because less were released to theaters. I think 74 or 75? Yes, Jada, very good point. Hello? The final chapter? 74 and or 75 were up there. Dog Day Afternoon is one of my favorite movies ever. Um, although Network, I think, is 76. I'd have to look again, but there's the mid 70s are quite strong as well. Who was a bigger waste of talent, Eddie Furlong or Macaulay Culkin from Home Alone? Waste of talent? I don't know. Macaulay Culkin's still bouncing around, like doing podcasts and stuff. Oddly enough, I don't think Edward Furlong hit the peaks that Macaulay Culkin did, but he was a bit more consistent for a wee bit longer. A wee bit longer. Dog Day is an all-timer. Thank you. I really, if like there are a bunch of movies that emulate what Dog Day Afternoon is, I would at every chance I get tell them to watch Dog Day Afternoon first. What is that? Shit, there was a movie that came out in the last 5 or 6 years that is essentially Dog Day Afternoon, but just with the modern angle turned up a bit. Fuck. I mean, Airheads. If you've ever seen Airheads with Adam Sandler and Brendan Fraser, Airheads is Dog Day Afternoon, but like comedically so, and you know, it's a spoof essentially of Dog Day Afternoon, but they're taking a radio station hostage, which even that's dated by today's standards. Airheads. I really enjoy that movie. Steve Buscemi's in it too. If you watch Dog Day Afternoon and then Airheads right after, you're like, oh wow, this is kind of funny how close they are. If you go into the 70s, be prepared for lesbian vampires galore. I don't need to go in the 70s to be prepared for I don't need to go into the 70s to be prepared for lesbian vampires galore. Thank you very much. Macaulay's Bros are killing it. Lords of Chaos. Columbus, A Real Pain. Adam. I don't know if you're joking or not, Adam, but you say 99 was a really good year as well. You might have joined late, but the reason that the years came up was an inquiry into my 1999 series where I don't know if you're familiar with it, but we did every month of the year, we covered films that were released, and a bunch of other YouTubers contributed and talked about what these movies mean to them. They're not so much movie reviews, so much as like people talking about, you know, how these movies or these moments in that period were important to them. And it was a fun series to do. And someone asked if we were going to do another one. If you're not familiar with the series, it's its own playlist on the channel. 1999 Best Movie Year Ever. I encourage you to watch it. And if you enjoy it, share it with 1,000 of your closest friends, because maybe we'll do the next year after that. Again, I'm not saying we won't do it. 1994 is very high on the list. I just need to see something that I can point to people that would also partake in it and say, look, other people will watch this. And, you know, I don't want it to be like it's just exclusively for views, but if I'm doing all of the work as far as editing, and I missaid that, people are contributing things where I'm like putting everything together. All the post-production stuff is stuff that I'm putting together. All of that effort and coordinating with people and doing all this other stuff, for a couple of hundred views a video it doesn't warrant the effort that goes into them. I'm not. Still, there are some pretty good bangers released in 99. Fair enough. What will be the biggest surprise flop of the year? I'm going to say Avatar 3. I hope so. Avatar's tired. But if it only makes $1 billion, is that a flop? Because both of those movies performed very well. Very well. I like Avatar. I just have a feeling it will. Like, I think by Avatar standards, 1 billion is something of a letdown, but I don't know if I would call that a flop. It's kind of like people who are anti-DCEU saying things like, "Oh, 700 million, that's a failure." I don't think that's true. It's no. If they spent 500 million and made 200, they made 200. If the Michael Jackson flops, it would generally surprise me. That film is starting to be a little cursed because that got pushed back. Surprised Avatar 2 did as good as it did, to be honest. It's coming from a decade after Avatar 1. Yeah, I don't know how to gauge that, but it seems like the rest of the world, like, watch, Jurassic World Rebirth will make $1 billion. The rest of the world loves mindless action. And Avatar is pretty picture mindless action. The Godzilla movies, those are solid for a $500 million, which, I mean, if I were a studio and I could put $100 million into something and then make 500 back, I'm doing that every time. So I think Avatar is like a lock for $1 billion. As much as us Americans are like, don't care. The rest of the world is like, we do. Like the first one, it's just a tech spectacle now. And a lot of people will go to the movies. Like, I think we're in this period where movie theaters have now transcended amusement parks, where it's cheaper. It's cheaper than going to an amusement park, but people are expecting some sort of spectacle because it's so easy to watch things either on a phone or in streaming. You want the theater experience to be something far different than your home television or the little screens you have in your pockets. And if it's some sort of spectacle, people will go. And maybe less so in America, but I think that luster is still there for the rest of the world, I think. I certainly can be wrong. It's getting harder and harder to figure out what the hell motivates people as far as the industry is concerned. It always depends on the budget. Mission Impossible made, what, 500 million, which ain't that bad, but with a $400 million budget to flop. Yeah. A weird release time, too. I don't know why you go head-to-head with Lilo and Stitch. Still haven't seen Avatar 2? You've missed nothing. Water. Just water. Brian cares about Avatar, so how dare you? I've never seen Avatar. I would just like to see Cameron get back to his sci-fi action roots. Terminator, True Lies, Aliens, Abyss. Yeah, since he went down to Titanic, he's been Titanic documentary shit and Avatar shit. Like, we haven't had 21st century James Cameron. Like, you think about the 80s and 90s, just how much fucking solid movies he put out. Thanks, bro. Avatar's cool and all, but you want to make like something else, please? Please? Absolutely what it's like for me. I'm not going to the cinema for drama or comedy if there's no spectacle. And I think that's kind of what the new thing is. I was talking about it earlier. The Sydney Sweeney Julianne Moore movie that's on Apple Plus. Echo Valley, is that what it's called? Yeah, Echo Valley. Good thriller. If you paid money to watch that in a theater, you'd probably be pissed. But it's perfect for Apple Plus. I don't know if movie theaters are where you would go to watch like mid-tier thrillers anymore. Like, perhaps not even mid-tier horrors. Like, it's weird to figure out what the what corner of the market the theater industry proves its worth. I have A2 on 4K. I have yet to watch it. Is it Avatar 2? You have C3PO on R2D2? When I went to see How to Train Your Dragon, they played the Tom Cruise thank you before watching in IMAX. Tom Cruise will die trying to save cinema. What's in the water, James? What indeed? I have watched two I'm watching a bunch of, I watched two stupid Popeye horrors, and I watched two documentaries on the Titan submersible. The Netflix one and the HBO Max one. In short, the dude who was running Ocean Gate was crazy. Two different documentaries, and they both come to the conclusion that this guy, dangerously so, was a bit arrogant and cost people their lives. Slightly different stories in those movies, but the through line is the same. Stockton Rush, George Stockton, George Orwell. Interesting movies. I think that's what I enjoy most from Netflix is their documentaries. But the HBO Max one isn't much worse. Like they're both solid 3 out of 5s for me. But it's horrifying. I didn't know that the Ocean Gate, whatever the hell it's called, the submersible, made it down to Titanic a couple of times. Like they interviewed this guy who went halfway down and then something broke and then they had to go back up. But then a month later, he actually went down and he's like, yeah, that I knew we were in trouble, but I had to go. And it's just like, man, you guys are crazy. I didn't know that it actually made it down to Titanic safely a couple of times prior to it failing. It's a fascinating documentary. If you have Netflix, give it a gander. If you have HBO Max, give the other one a gander. If you're like really intrigued by it, I think James Cameron is interviewed on one of them, if not both of them. It's fascinating. Like that stuff. I think the irony is what draws me to it, because the irony that people always talk about with Titanic, like all these rich people, all the things that they were saying, it's unsinkable. First ride out, thing goes down. And the irony of the fact that these people want to go and see the wreck of Titanic, knowing the history of what happened with the Titanic, only to like fulfill like a similar destiny. Like people who have way too much money that are like just toying with the gods and suffer the same fate. It's like the arrogance of certain people is just dumbfounding. And like, I think you could make a movie about that experience and it would be considered like, people wouldn't take it seriously because it's like, oh, who would be that stupid? And it's like, reality would, that's who. Friendship was a good new comedy. I have not seen that. I watched it and enjoyed it. What did you watch and enjoy, Kitty? I'm also into almost mindless action, so I guess you have a point about other places. Not going to the cinema because it's expensive and I'm on a budget. Preach. I'd prefer, shockingly, to go to the theater for horror, but the only theater remotely close to me doesn't often do horror. More family-friendly and romance. Oh, romance in a theater. No, but I have R2D2 Xbox 360. Ooh, that's a pretty good system. Which comes with a C3PO style controller. James Cameron said if it was not for Avatar, he was retiring after Titanic, so kind of depends on how much you hate blue people or love James Cameron. If that's the case, I'm done. What is with these really good directors and saying, I'm done? Like Quentin Tarantino's been talking about his 10th and final film for almost 10 years now. And now we're getting a sequel to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, although he's only writing that. No, why are you focusing on weird shit? But what person with an obscene amount of money and tremendous ego would risk someone's life? Dice, if you watch this documentary and the shortcuts that they take just to give a middle finger to rules and restrictions and things, like I think it's a Netflix one where they talk about where they registered. They registered outside of the US to make sure that they don't have to comply with the Coast Guard. Like, shady. That's some shady shit right there. Like, dude, you're doing a submersible at 3,000 feet. Just why don't you follow safety, huh? It's just fascinating. And when you think about how much money these people have, to not make sure that everything's on the up and up is obscene. I was transfixed by that story for a good while. Yeah, it like I saw both of the documentaries, and there's overlap, but at the same time, whatever new nugget was in one documentary, I was like, oh man, this is. I was eating popcorn. I wasn't really, but those were popcorn documentaries, popumentaries, if you will. Good old irony. Give me your predictions. It's coming out the week between Fantastic Four and Superman. Will I Know What You Did Last Summer flop? No. What's flop? It'll probably pull in 25 mil, which is very strong for a horror movie. Although Final Destination brought in 50 million its opening weekend. I'll safely say 25 million opening weekend, and that's very good for a horror movie. I don't know if flop. History doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. You got that right. And now, 10 years from now, you're going to have someone who wants to go down and visit the stupid Ocean Gate wreck. And we don't learn. Well, either they were going to implode or wake up Cthulhu. I know what you did last summer will be like a fart in the wind. I know, people will see it. I don't know what flop means. Horror is in the theaters. It's not going to be like it. It's not going to make a couple of $100 million. So it's not going to be Halloween 2018, but it doesn't have to be. I don't know if a flop would be a word I'd use for stuff like that. Oh, that Apple Plus thing with Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. She wore way too many clothes in that movie, though. Who would be that stupid? May I direct you to Jaws 2? I've been fascinated with the story of the Titanic since I was 12 years old, and that has been 3 decades. He's being all Jay-Z about retiring. In all fairness, David Lynch was kind of wins the good directors who were done category. My most anticipated movie of the year is probably The Running Man. Edgar Wright, never seen the original. Oh, watch the original. Watch the original. Because if you like the if you like the Edgar Wright one and then go watch the original is very, very 80s, but also kind of poignant when you consider, well, what television personalities have become. And, well, I think you should watch it before the Edgar Wright comes out. There's nothing left of the wreck down there but powder. Yeah, they talked about, they talked about getting the wreckage up, and there weren't human remains, but a pen was found, and a patch from one of their shirt was kind of relatively well intact, but they didn't find human remains, which, if you think about it, it's oh, The pen was unscathed, but not the body so much. David Lynch would have been putting out more if Netflix didn't tell him to screw. John Carpenter as well. The original Running Man is great. Yeah, I agree. But the further away we get from the 80s, you have to be of the mindset that, like, this is kind of cheesy 80s shit. But like Bimo said earlier, things don't repeat, but they rhyme. I think hokey television reality shit, it's coming back around where it might be perfect that Edgar Wright is doing something like that now. Like, you don't have to alter it that much to have it make the same amount of sense. Like, it's been a couple of years, but if you watch Network, a 1975-6 movie about television and what people do, and like the things that these channels just exploit people for, it still works today. It's the technology is way different, but the message still works. Network is almost 50 years old, but the messaging still is like we're not learning. And I guess it's kind of good that, I don't know, it's good that you can watch it and still pick up on the same messaging. It's not good that society's not learning. I guess society's like, nah, it's just a stupid movie. I would pay to watch Sydney Sweeney clean out her refrigerator. Yeah. So the pen wasn't vaporized. Interesting. Yeah. And like the patch looked fine. Like his shoulder patch was still intact. It really fascinating. Sydney Sweeney as a drugged out teen who treats her mom like crap is quite a sight. Yeah. Yeah, she wasn't that drugged out, because usually when people are drugged out, they resort to sex for money, and this movie missed out on an opportunity. That's terrible. It's terrible. I'm joking. I apologize. Besides, Sydney Sweeney's been naked in other things, so if you want to see it, it's elsewhere. The pen is mightier than the submersible. Holy shit, the Taco Bell here still has chili cheese burritos? There may be no one in the chat who understands how awesome that is. I miss Taco Bell. I don't even know if I'm allowed to eat it anymore. Well, it doesn't matter. I haven't had a chili cheese burrito. They stopped doing the Mexican pizzas too a while ago. Though that was my go-to. CPO, I think you need to change your score of passengers on Letterboxd. 5 for 5 for me. 2.5 for you. It's one I really, really like. Passengers? Is that with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pine? That one? Running Man would definitely work today. Network is on my watch list. Let me know what you think of it. I'm happy for you and your chili cheese burrito. You underestimate my steel stomach. Yeah, you don't have a gallbladder. I'm jealous. Any interest in Black... Wow, I read that really fast. Any interest in Black Phone 2? Looks like the grabber is basically going to be Freddy Krueger. I'm trying my best to not watch horror trailers. More than any other trailers, horror I'm trying to avoid. So, because of the wonderful community we have here, I tend to watch a lot of horror stuff anyway. Both Popeye movies are walking, talking examples of that. So I know I'll end up seeing it. So I'd rather not taint my expectations. I've never had Taco Bell, but I assume my stomach will not be good with it either. It depends. You know what? Spending time in the UK, Americans' rules or regulations or lack thereof for food, I guess if you don't have the stomach built for American food, it might be kind of devastating. But like in the UK, they don't. Our cereal is like the color of rainbows in cartoons in the US. Fruit Loops is red, orange, yellow, green, purple. And those are all because of food coloring that isn't exactly legal everywhere. In the UK, Fruit Loops is oat colored and kind of purple. No wonder why kids are so depressed in the UK. They don't have the yay colors that are in cartoons. There's no such thing as a blue raspberry in the UK. How dare you? How do you know what an Airhead tastes like if it's tan colored? I think if you've not built up the immunity to Taco Bell, it could be quite devastating. That White Castle could destroy someone. Mexican pizzas are back. That was a weird COVID thing. Huh. I can't handle dairy. People revolt. Yeah, I don't remember, but I remember being like, oh, I'm not eating anything there then. I haven't had Taco Bell in ages. Likewise. How's your gallbladder, though? He doesn't have one. His was taken out correctly. Yeah. And he doesn't have a giant scar along his rib cage. Chicks dig scars. So I've got that going for me. All right. So we've had a nice little get together in lieu of Friday stream, which was blocked. So keep your eye open on Cody's community board. Like I said earlier, or hinted to earlier, a debrief could be happening relatively soon. But if it doesn't, it probably won't happen in June. And I'm a poet. But I'm not going to be the one that delivers any of that information. So keep an eye on his thing. And if and when Cody decides to let everyone know about the debrief, I think I'm aware of the day and date that he's talking about. So it's penciled in, but it is a debrief, and you never know what's going to happen to who, when, and what's going to have to change. But it seems like we have a date. It seems like. But I'm not saying anything, because if I say something and it changes, you guys can be like, what the hell? Sipo, do you ever think we'll see Ivan Strahovski in Dexter again, even as a hallucination scene? Considering everyone they have lined up for resurrection, like the Avengers of serial killers, I would probably say it might happen, even if it's just like a dream sequence. Probably, possibly. Favorite Taco Bell item is the beef crunchy taco burrito with flaming hot Fritos. It's basically their version of McRib, where they bring it back for like 2 weeks, then discontinue it. Sunday. There's hope. There is hope. There is hope indeed. Okay. Thanks to everyone who participated in the chat, and those of you who contributed with super chats. If you're watching this in the future, let me know down below what you'd like to see a topic for on live content. I'm going to formally announce the Disturbing 15 tag. And I just got to figure out how I want to word it, and if it's going to be a live stream or like a pre-recorded video. But I don't see tag videos that much on YouTube anymore. And the Disturbing 15 challenge, much like we brought up earlier about the 1999 video, will be something of the WILIscredia tag video, where I have a list of movies that most of them are from the Who Would Like That list, that I'd like to see people watch, and just make short videos on how they're doing, what they thought of the movies, and I'll have like a list of things we'd like to hear from you. And um, yeah, it's an old school YouTube tag video challenge that I don't know if the announcement video will be the next thing we do live. But I would imagine the next time you see me for a live thing, if not on that darn kiddish channel, could be in a debrief situation. Could be. And smash that like button. And don't forget to tip your waitress.